the encouraging and accepting voiceover community. That is the topic of today's discussion. And if it seems a little cynical, maybe just a smidge. What's going on? I'm Bill DeWees. 18 years now, recording voiceovers professionally, recorded over 10,000 paid voiceover jobs. I'm a voiceover coach, voiceover demo producer. Every weekday morning at this time, I jump on YouTube just to share a thought, a tip, a trick, a strategy, something to help move you down the road toward voiceover success. My mission as a voiceover coach is to help you make money at voiceover. That's, to turn your dream into something more tangible, to turn your hobby into an actual profession. And if you can support you and your family for years to come with this, that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. And I'm also author of a couple of voiceover books. My latest being Get Paid Using Your Voice. It's interesting. My topic this morning that I had planned for this morning was I was going to begin just talking about some of the chapter headings in this book and touching for a few moments on each of the topics. Number one, just so you have a better idea what this book is all about. But number two, also because these are the key touchstones of voiceover. These are the things that you really need to understand. And I'll get back to that at some point. But I got sight, and by the way, there is a link to this in the description, the digital download copy for less than $10. And when you do that, you'll have the option, gives you the option to also get the paperback and the audiobook as well. But as I was getting set up for this morning, my attention was diverted. I've been getting so many more messages here on YouTube, and it's just because of the new viewers, more people coming into the channel. And I thank you for that because you subscribe, you share, you talk about this with your friends, and I appreciate you sharing the word because I want to be a source of positivity, of encouragement, of empowerment by giving you good information to help you make the right choices, to help you do the things that you need to do to be successful in voiceover. But a couple of back-to-back messages this morning really made me pretty sad because it's not new information. I'm aware of it, but it really is painful to see others experience things that they don't need to be experiencing when it comes to voiceover. So let me talk about that for just a moment. And by the way, I'll do a roll call. We'll do some shout outs. So if you haven't yet, make sure you check in on our live chat. Just let me know where you're watching and listening from this morning. And I'll get to that in just a moment. And sometimes you see me put up the parentheses, the parenthetical voiceover community. Because I think a lot of people who are wanting to come in or maybe new who come in are desperately want that acceptance, as we all do. Whenever we start something new and we're in a new group of people, we want to be accepted. We want to be a part of that group. And so often people are met with some real strong negativity. And let me just share a few comments that I read this morning just before coming on the live stream. Here's the first one. I keep hoping that Bill and others will name actual names, but I do not understand why they don't. Oh, but I do understand why they don't. One of these self-appointed gatekeepers, his Facebook group is full of sheep that seem to have a lot of free time to do nothing but troll others, made some intentionally offensive comments about VO talent in my wife's native third world country, where those who have just the simplest of any job are eternally grateful. He was poking fun at a word that is commonly used, referring to classes, graduates, and school groups, etc. He did not just accidentally come across their posts, as they don't target English-speaking markets, so he was clearly searching wherever he could for things to bitch about. Obviously, he has no VO work to do. Let me share the second one that came up this morning in my feed, and then we'll talk about it. I'm literally just trying to get started, and all caps, all I hear is the negative, especially with Fiverr being a total dumpster fire. I started out with so much positivity and hope, but the more negative comments I read, the more I find myself discouraged, and I haven't even started yet. Oy, I'll keep this in mind as I go forward. Thanks again. First of all, let me say there's no need to name names. What I'm trying to do is help you to get your antenna up. Just so because these folks are not hard to spot. It doesn't take very long before you figure out what's what and who's who, but you need to be aware that not everybody is working in your self-interest. Voiceover is no different than any other area of life. And if you think for some reason that this is the one, safe haven from the rest of the world, you'll probably be disappointed. There are Three, I made a few notes here. I just want to share these with you. When it comes to people and their acceptance, or those who are willing to, accept especially new talent and to be encouraging, there are the three types of folks that I found, and maybe you'll find this helpful. Number one, there are those who are genuinely good people. There are some great people within voiceover, and they sincerely want to be a light to help you move, in the right direction. They want to help you learn. They want you to be successful in voiceover. So as in any area of life, there is a group of people, however small they may happen to be, there is a genuinely fantastic group of people in voiceover who really have your self-interest in mind, and they want you to succeed. So regardless of all the craziness that happens, it's easy to allow that to really taint the view that we have of the entire group. And there are some really fine people in voiceover. I've had a privilege to work with and to meet a number of them over the years. The second is a group who, for whatever reason, the only way they can validate their own self-worth is by putting down others. And it makes by being able to find things that they feel that they can criticize. Um, it makes them feel better about themselves. And I think that happens a lot in any kind of performance community. I was listening to a podcast maybe yesterday or the day before, where they were talking about the casts of Saturday Night Live over the years, and that there's been just some brutal stuff that goes on behind the scenes among the actors, and the things that the things that they will do to try to ruin other people's careers, getting them fired, getting their staff fired, trying to promote themselves. And it's not just a Saturday Night Live thing. And it's not just a voiceover thing, is my point. This happens virtually everywhere. Probably none of us have had a job where that kind of thing happens. And the same thing is true in voiceover. And there are those, and some, self-appointed gurus who they make that their mission in life. And I've been the target of some of those folks, as many of you have as well. And that's, it's just, you get water off a duck's back. It's what's going to happen. The more equipped you are with good information, the more you can discern the critical from the helpful. And you may not like, there are some good suggestions and helpful things you need to know that you may not like. They may rub you wrong, but they're the truth and they're helpful. But there's a difference between that and being negative and making people feel bad about themselves, of being critical of them and who they are and what they do. That's the second group. Number three, there are those who desperately need to be accepted themselves. And one of the reasons people talk about the VO community as being so loving and accepting is because as performers, we are desperate for the approval of others. And we want you to desperately approve of us. So we're going to approve of you, just so we can have a mutual admiration society and hold on to each other so that we both don't sink and drown in the sea out there. And so there are those as well. So again, you've got the sincere, the people who genuinely want to help you. We've got the people whose own self-worth is so trashed that the only way they can possibly make them feel good about themselves. I'm talking about experienced long-term voiceover talent, not just new people, but those who've been around, is to put you down. And then there are those who just so desperately need to be accepted. They will treat you well just so you'll treat them well, in hopes that you won't be critical of them. So I think if you begin to understand the kind of folks that you're dealing with, you can learn how to navigate through this. But whatever you do, don't let the negativity get you down. Let me share something with you. And I think I shared this once a long time ago, and I hope you find it encouraging. I love to share stuff from my own life that hopefully somehow resonates with you. And this was early in my radio career. Understand, I wanted to get in radio when I was like 14 in junior high, maybe 13, 14. I had a passion for music, had a passion for broadcasting. I'm the kind of kid, I would listen to radio instead of watch TV. I listened to the personalities. I studied what they did. And I listened to how they did how stations were programmed, promotions. I was a geek on all of those things. It was my dream. I went to college, studied communications, got a job right out of college. And I'll never forget, I had a program director who we had an air check session. An air check session is where you go into your program director, who's the guy or gal who's hired you, who's in charge of developing your talent. And an air check is where you record what you've done on the air, and then you sit down in their office, they listen and give you feedback to help you be better. Well, the feedback he had for me was that he regretted hiring me because he didn't like the way I sounded. He thought my voice was funny or odd or something. I don't know. Now, here's the thing. In this case, he wasn't trying to be cruel. He really thought that. By the way, he is he's a dear friend of mine now. I've known him for 40 something years now, and we stay somewhat in touch. And so it's not that he was a bad person, but just the way he dealt with it, I was devastated. I was devastated because this is a guy who had done, he was a program director. He was a professional. I was brand new at this. And my dream, was being shattered in front of me. And I wanted to quit so much. I was so heartbroken that I wanted to quit and leave, but I didn't. I stuck around. And before long, by like age 22, I was a program director and I was hiring and developing talent myself. And I had a very successful programming and on-air career for over 2 decades. Just because somebody says something doesn't make it true. And just because somebody says something, even if there's truth in it, doesn't mean you can't improve and get better and do what you want to do. Keep that in mind. Understand that we all have to go through those things. And so many people get sidetracked and derailed along the way because somebody said something or they looked at them cross-eyed. And especially earlier on in our careers, our self-esteem, our ego is so fragile. It doesn't take a lot oftentimes to derail us from those things. But I'm begging you, don't allow the negativity, whether it's whatever. And somebody mentioned one of the comments that I just read had to do with Fiverr, being a dumpster fire. There's just a lot of ignorance. That's different than stupidity. Ignorance is just people not knowing or understanding. Most people are behind the curve. You have to understand that. And that's why, like my daughter, Mallory, she's going to be doing a Fiverr training this coming Tuesday night. It's a big deal. She makes a lot of money. I just wrapped up a $425 job on Fiverr. I just got hired for a new job to do today. There's a lot of great work on Fiverr, but a lot of people have been doing this for decades. Are so entrenched in an old way of doing things, they can't see what's going on. They don't want to see what's going on. They're afraid of change. That's human nature. That's okay to be afraid. What's not okay is to rain on everybody else's parade, who wants to understand and who wants to learn and who wants to move forward. So be encouraged. Again, voiceover is no different than anything else. And if you adjust your expectations accordingly and just realize, you know what? There are good people, there are jerks, there are idiots in every aspect of life. And as human beings, we just have to navigate it and understand who to listen to and who not to. And again, water off a duck's back. We just keep moving on. And by the way, let me just again mention Mallory's class coming up Tuesday, Fiverr. If you want to stay on the cutting edge, this is a lady who works part-time, like 4 hours a day, making over 6 figures in voiceover, the vast majority of that which comes from Fiverr. And so she's going to teach you how to do that. And the link is below in the description. So be encouraged, guys. Be encouraged. Let's see what's going on in the live stream chat. Emma, what's happening in Huntington Beach this morning? First in today. We've got Nephi in Knoxville. Hello there. Jason in Nebraska. Matthew in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We've got GS in Longview. Ethan in Toronto. Phil, what's up in Tokyo? David in Kansas. Terry in Maryland. John, a mile high good morning from Denver. Jason in Newport, Oregon. Corey in Wisconsin. Rusty, what's going on in Michigan? Kathleen, hello in Wyoming. We've got, Calvin checking in from bright and sunny Charleston, South Carolina. Love it. Patty, what's up in Palm Desert, California? Mark, good morning to you in Wilmington, North Carolina. Benjamin, hello in Ontario. Monica in Poland. Jim in Memphis. Rebecca in Michigan. John in Rhinebeck. Marla, Texas. James, happy hump day to you in overcast Austin, Texas. Hey, Denise in Long Island. Oh, by the way, imagine my thrill when I walked down to the kitchen this morning to find a fresh, unopened bag of Meyer Michigan cherry coffee beans. A finer coffee has never been brewed than what I'm enjoying this morning. That's not a paid endorsement, by the way. Benjamin, what's happening with you? I've been watching your videos and following your advice, and finally, just this month, I got my first 2 Fiverr orders. Benjamin, that's what I'm talking about. The bell of success right there. Way to go, Benjamin. I love that. Theo, good morning to all after a week away in Las Vegas. Oh, what a great place to go, Theo. I'm back to downtown Chicago, where Juneteenth means empty streets and sidewalks on a beautiful day. Well, Theo, I hope it's a great one for you. And don't forget to hit the like button, y'all, Theo says. Thank you, Theo. Theo's my hype man. I appreciate you, Theo. Bob says, good morning from hot and sticky Brantford, Ontario. Busy doing email marketing today and have an appointment with Frank on Friday. Thanks, VoiceOver Blueprint. Bob, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We've got Dr. Bob in Clearwater. What's going on? He says, thanks for all your great advice and encouragement. Thank you, Bob. Mike checking in from Spanish Fort, Alabama. We've got Fawn checking in from Florida. Denise, hello to you in Pasadena, California. Good morning, Nancy in South Dakota. We've got Zach in sunny northern Florida, wishing everybody a happy hump day. Portage, Wisconsin, checking in. Tim in Altoona. Let's see here. Dacia, good morning to you. Heather in Australia, feeling down after watching videos from someone with good info, but a need to poop on inexperienced newbies on a budget. Needed some build to cleanse the palate. Grateful for you. Oh, Heather, don't see. I just got off a tirade here. Don't get me started again. One more story. Again, when I share a story, these are true stories. So many years ago, I mean, it was well over 10 years, maybe 12, 13, 14 years ago. I went to an audiobook weekend with 2 top name coaches in the business. And in New York City, and part of it was training, part of it was to record my audiobook demo. And one of the 2 coaches, who was actually the more experienced of the 2, who had been around for a long time, far longer than I have. Somehow the topic of equipment came up, and people were asking about microphones and, what kind of microphone do you need, and et cetera. Well, at the time I was using a Marshall MXL 2001 microphone. Marshall doesn't make that version of the MXL now, but you can buy them on eBay for $50 or $60. I think they were like $99 brand new back in the day, but that's what I was using. And so I mentioned it to him, and he said, no. He goes, no, you can't use that in VoiceOver. Well, what he didn't realize is I was already making a 6-figure income with that microphone. One of the greatest fallacies, one of the biggest things, the biggest misinformation, one of them would be the fact that you need an expensive $1,000 microphone, which this is, which I did buy eventually, because I could afford to. Is you don't have to have that. What you need is a good space to be in. But I'll talk about that when I talk more about my book, because that's in here. So we'll talk about that on another day. But Heather, don't let that stuff bring you down. Chris in Michigan, Steve in Colorado, very much in the beginning stages, but I haven't seen much negative when it comes to VO. Good. I hope it stays that way for you, Steve. It's out there, but just got to learn to tune it out and focus on the positive. Yes, indeed. John says, have confidence. Amisha in South Dakota or South Carolina, good morning. Fawn says, really great advice. Needed to hear this. Thank you. You're welcome, Fawn. Wally, good morning to all the VO family. We shall succeed. Yes, we shall. Let's see. Nicole in Atlanta. Rich, thank you for the kind words. Calvin says, great word for today. Thanks for balancing out the negative and providing a positive path for others to follow. A successful goal has never been achieved by taking the advice of negative people. Well, that's true. And for those who are negative, they're not where they want to be, or they wouldn't be doing the things that they're doing. So they feel either they're sliding or they're insecure. There's something they're not at a place where they feel comfortable with their level of success, or with the fact that they can't succeed, or the fact they're losing what success they have. There's something that It just doesn't allow them to let that lie. Instead of going out and figuring it out, get the information and being successful, they got to take it out on people, especially the vulnerable, which are the people who are newer to this, who are more susceptible to that. By sucking out their energy, it gives them, I guess, some temporary. It's like vampires who suck the blood out of other people to survive. Don't avoid the VO vampires. Now that should have been the topic. Avoid the VO vampires. That was a good one. Mental note for the future. Hey guys, thanks again for checking this out. Don't forget, I do have a live event coming up on Saturday, July 13th here in the Chicagoland area. Would love to see you guys here. Would absolutely love it. So if you want to claim your spot as well as a discount on admission, there's a link below in the description. So feel free to check that one out. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Keep it positive. Ignore and avoid the negative, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.